Hey everyone, this is Matt with Learn Everything About Design, and in today's video we're talking again about the Revopoint Pop 4. I know this is in Kickstarter Campaign right now. I'm trying my best to answer all the questions. I still haven't been able to scan outdoors. The weather here on the East Coast has been awful. Not awful in that sense, but it's been overcast, it's been rainy. Today it's in the 40s, and it just isn't going to do anything for trying to scan outside with that. So when I get a sunny day, I will do my best to get outside and scan with it and report back how it works. But today's video is specifically about the AI feature, Object Segmentation. So if you've seen any of my recent videos, you know that I don't love these AI tools. I want to at least explore them, see how they work, see what the implications are, and then try to explain that to you. Remember, we are an affiliate for Revopoint. Right now, this scanner is in Kickstarter, which means that the channel doesn't get any kickbacks. There's no affiliate link or discount code that you can use right now, but it is going to be the cheapest the scanner will probably ever be. So if you are interested in it, I'm doing my best to answer everybody's questions with as much information as possible. So leave a comment if you have a question, and I'll try to either do a video to answer that question or at least get back to you inside the comments. So today is specifically about the object segmentation. Now this is a feature that works on full field mode and it works with the VCSEL mode. It does not work with laser mode. What it is an local AI powered feature that lets you identify the object inside of the RGB camera, lets you identify the object you want to scan, and it filters everything else out. So in full field mode and VCSEL mode, there is a base removal that you can use. You can't, again, do that on laser mode. And it's essentially like a next step up from that. I've tried it with my laptop offline, and I've tried it with it connected to my network, and it appears to work exactly the same in both. Revopoint have told me that it is local when I asked, because I asked these kinds of questions. And I don't have any reason to doubt that based on the performance that I've seen. We are not going to be talking about the 3D GPS, which is the Gaussian splattering mode. It's not really something I use. I've tried it a few times, but I don't really have an end workflow where I can tell you if it works or not. I can try to answer questions on it, but again, we really focus more on mechanical parts rather than moving into the animation and VR sort of segment of this. So if you have questions, I'll do my best, but I don't really have any experience in that area professionally, so I don't know that my point of view would be very helpful. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at how this feature works, how we can use it, and what that really means for scanning these kinds of objects. All right, so now that we got the scanner hooked up, let's go ahead and walk through how to use this object segmentation. So again, this is listed as one of their AI tools. I've tried it both connected to my network and completely offline. It's worked fine in both cases. I've asked Revopoint if it's a local process running, and they said that it is. It's running locally in RevoScan 6. So for whatever that's worth to you, if you've watched my other videos, you know that I'm not a big fan of using these AI tools, but I at least want to point out what it is, and then you can decide whether or not you want to use it or not. So what we're going to be doing first is starting a scan. And so inside of the new scan, we're going to use feature tracking, we're going to use VCSEL mode, and I'm going to go ahead and just call this drill 10 and confirm. So I'm going to kind of put this on the edge of my workbench here. And I want to begin first I'm going to increase the exposure. And I'm going to do a color scan. So I'm going to capture color data. And then under the section where it says base removal, we're going to use object segmentation. And so what this does initially is, until we start scanning, if we look at the display in the bottom left corner, you can see it's sort of highlighting things in green. It's trying to figure out what we're trying to scan. This tends to work okay for like human faces and things like that. It can pick those out pretty easily. For objects sitting on a table, basically what you want to do is left click. You want to come in and left click to pick the areas that you're interested in. And you may need to do this a few times. You can move the camera around or move the scanner around. And then once you're happy with that, we'll hit play and we'll start scanning. And so what this is going to do is it'll actively filter out things like the desk. And so we're not capturing any of that. It's essentially like a more advanced base removal. Another thing to keep in mind is that with VCSEL mode, we really want to move quickly. Unlike the NIR mode or the laser mode where we kind of hang out and capture as many points as we can that we can filter later. With VCSEL mode, it's something that we really need to move quickly because it's capturing a lot of data. We do need to be careful. So you'll notice here, I ended up getting some sort of extra scan. One thing I will say is currently, you'll notice that as I'm hitting undo, it's taking away individual frames. This is something that I think gets improved over time, the ability to edit individual frames. So right now you can see that it seems to be working okay. I'm going to try to pan this over and it seems to be capturing it. But you just want to be careful, move consistently, make sure that you have enough features. You can see there it put a double, as soon as I started scanning again, it looks like it puts a double drill on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this one. And the data looks okay. So I'm going to repeat this process one more time. I'm going to use the recently used option. I'm just going to keep the scan name the same, which is the date and time essentially. And I'm going to use auto exposure for this, see if that does any better. And again, we want to reselect the object that we want to scan. It does a pretty good job of identifying it based on the colors. If you happen to accidentally select like the case over here, a left click will deselect. You may need to just move and just left click on something if you accidentally selected too much. So once again, big thing with the VCSEL mode is it's pulling in a lot of data because of the way that it's capturing it. You'll notice that on the screen, things are moving relatively quick. So I'm going to come around here, kind of grab that, and work my way back around. Try to go up over the top. The grip area is tricky because of the fact that both depth cameras need to see, which means getting like underneath the drill chuck is tricky from this angle. And then getting into that magnetic tray is a little tricky. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop the scan there. Now, the intent for this video is not to walk through scanning the entire thing. To get the detail out of this, I would certainly use laser mode. In the last video, I put a link in the description and showed it on the screen, the difference in the detail from laser to NIR to VCSEL mode. For me, VCSEL mode is really about bigger objects. So scanning an entire person or scanning larger art pieces or sculptures or things like that. It's not really going to pull out much detail on something like this drill. That's where an NIR or a full field mode would work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to do a feature scan, this time full field HD. And when we go to the base removal, oh, it's still loading. If I wait enough time. All right, so you can see we've got object segmentation here. I'm going to go ahead and pull the drill back over. Again, I'll use auto exposure for this. And remember that don't want that. The distance away for VCSEL mode is up to 800 millimeters. The distance away for full field mode is up to 500 millimeters. So you're definitely going to be closer in the full field mode. And I'm just, again, with full field mode, we are moving quite a bit slower. And it's not really about a difference in frame rate as much as it is the technology. And so I'm going to go ahead and kick the exposure up just a little bit. And so again, NIR full field mode is a projector that's projecting out a pattern. whereas the VCSEL mode is points or dots, however you want to think about it. And it's projecting that out, splattering it. And I'm going to go up to the top here. And the depth cameras are sort of calculating the difference in what it sees in that. And then of course the laser mode is actually lasers. And I didn't do a color scan here, but you can instantly see on the screen, just from the settings I had, because the exposure value is so low, it's not picking up the grip. So if I want to try to do that again, it still remembers my settings. I have to kick the exposure up high enough to get the grip, which means that the rest of the drill is overexposed. And this is where using something like a laser scanner is going to give you much better results for a couple of reasons. One, because the exposure value isn't really going to be the same as laser intensity. So overexposure like this on the plastic surfaces, like the green color, when it's overexposed, you're going to get a rougher texture. It's going to look sort of like orange peel. If you paint something, spray paint something, and it's just too much paint, you get that sort of heavy orange peel look. That's really what you're going to end up with. But the point is that the object segmentation works both on full field mode and with the VCSEL mode. So you can see here everything looks pretty good. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do one more scan. I'm going to go ahead and lay this thing down on my magic board here. I'm going to go to laser line, go to confirm, and notice that now the option for base removal goes away. The option for the object segmentation goes away. We don't have the ability to use the object segmentation when we're talking about the laser scanning mode. So what I'm going to do is start scanning. And again, with laser mode, what we're really looking at is on the screen, the color that the dots are changing is based on the resolution setting. Now the default here, the target distance is 0.3 millimeters. We can go down or up from there, depending on what you need out of the part. 0.3 to 0.5 is probably more than enough for most parts. Another thing to note is I didn't do any global marker files. This is obviously real time because you can hear me talking. I didn't do any global marker files. I didn't do any pre-scanning on this. I just sort of slapped it onto this board and I started scanning. It gets tricky to get the bottom because you really want to be perpendicular to what you're scanning. And the problem is I can't be perpendicular to the part and also get marker dots in the screen. So that just is kind of a disclaimer or a disqualifier for being able to do that. And I'm not going to fully scan this drill, but hopefully I just want to give you an idea of each mode kind of scanning the same object and try to get that magnetic tray area. There's not really enough marker dots up here. All right. So the big difference in all three of these, NIR mode or full field mode and VCSEL mode, have base removal. They also have the object segmentation option, so it can kind of filter out all that stuff underneath. When we're using the laser mode, you can see that we've got the marker dots on this, we've got the workbench, all these things around, but the points are much denser. We've brought in more data in the areas that we need, so we're going to pull out a lot more of the details, the venting, the recesses, the sort of nuances in the shape of what we're scanning. There were a couple comments recently asking about scanning into tool cases, things like that. Again, big thing to keep in mind with any scanner, not just this POP4, but any scanner, is the scanner itself really needs to be perpendicular to the object you're scanning within 15 or 20 degrees. but really perpendicular to the object you're scanning in order to pull that data back. And both depth cameras, which in this case, they're right here, both of these need to see the object that you're scanning. So if we're on top of the drill like this, both depth cameras are able to see. If we go like this and kind of go sideways to the drill, this depth camera is looking over here, this one's looking over here. It's not going to work. So when you have objects that are like this, you kind of have to roll over the top of it. When you kind of work your way around the grip, things like that. Just all things to keep in mind. So if you're trying to scan down into a case and you've got deep vertical walls, it's going to be tricky for any scanner. This one here, so if we zoom in, these are all, this is the point cloud that we created, but you can see the detail. Let's go ahead and try to pan this. You can see the detail in that button there. You can see the detail in the recesses around like the drill chuck area. Kind of pull this back. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to hack the bottom of this thing off. Just kind of get rid of all this noise in the bottom. Delete it. We'll do isolation detection. And we'll do some overlap detection. And then we'll turn this into a mesh using high quality setting and kind of let it crank away. I'll toss that up in the screen after it's done. We'll take a look at it. But at the end of the day, the big thing about this scanner, and I know it's a Kickstarter campaign, I know it's tricky, and again, I can't stress enough, we are an affiliate. During Kickstarter, there is no kickback or benefit to the channel, there's no affiliate link, there's no discount code. So you buying now really does not financially impact the channel at all, other than monetization on views, which honestly, we make like 500 bucks a month off the YouTube channel. It's not enough to make it worth it. But so again, big thing, there's really no benefit to me or the channel personally if you buy this during a Kickstarter campaign. It actually is beneficial if you buy it after the Kickstarter campaign with the affiliate link and information. But it's probably the cheapest you're ever going to find it. I don't know if the early bird special stuff is over at this point. But if you have any questions on the features in this, I will do my best to answer them. I know I've gotten several comments about scanning outside with it. I still just, the weather has not been cooperating. It's been raining pretty much every day. It's been overcast every day, which a lot of scanners can deal with the overcast nature. So it's really not going to show much for whether or not this thing works outdoors. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So you can see this is a very, very different result. We can even pick up a little bit of, I don't even know what that says. What does that say there? Grip zone. So you can actually see the text in the rubber on the handle there. And all the little recesses for the battery. All right, so hopefully that helps answer the question as to what this feature is, the object segmentation, how we use it inside of the software, and what kind of benefits it can produce. A lot of the questions I'm getting are trying to relate this scanner to something like the Metro X or other scanners on the market. What I will say is I have to be careful comparing like any of the other scanners to this specifically, because this is the only one currently running RevoScan 6. And I feel like a lot of the performance boosts are in the hardware, but there are also a lot of performance boosts in the software as well. So until RevoScan 6 supports the Metro series, until there's a RevoScan 6 Metro, I don't really have a good answer for the performance side of things. What I will say is the laser scanning in this works really well, much better than the Metro X first did when I first started testing it. It does have more cross lines than the Metro X does. It's sort of in line with the Metro X Pro and the Metro Y Pro, which have like 30 and 34 cross laser lines. That's something to keep in mind. The more laser lines you have, the more points you pull in. We scanned this drill, or at least part of this drill, with laser scanning. We scanned it with NIR mode using the object segmentation, and we scanned it with the VCSEL mode using that object segmentation. There is going to be a big difference in the level of detail that you pull out with each of those. So again, that's a big thing that you need to consider. If you're trying to scan something like this drill and you need the detail, the laser mode is the way to go. If you need a quick scan with the color applied to it that you can toss into something and have a visual reference of the drill, the VCSEL mode is probably going to be quick. But honestly, even though the VCSEL mode can pull that data in super quick, the laser mode is not really that much slower in terms of getting all the data in. And the big thing that you just give up is there's no color scanning with the laser scan mode. So again, if you need a color object of this in something, the VCSEL mode is pretty quick. If you need a highly detailed scan of this, the laser scan is the way to go. The NIR is kind of in the middle of both of those. You get better detail out of it than the VCSEL mode. You get the color, you get the object segmentation that you don't get with laser scanning, but it is going to take longer to scan than those other two modes, just from my own testing and experience here. So any questions that you have, please let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. Again, it is in a Kickstarter campaign right now. That is going to end first week of June. So once it's out of Kickstarter and it's publicly available, you can start using the affiliate link and discount code that we'll leave in the description of the video. But any questions until then, I will do my best to answer them. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.